joined by the Yes campaign director, Dean Parkin. Dean, thanks very much for your time. Not long to go now. Clearly, Yes are the underdogs in this campaign, but what are you picking up on the polling booths? Do you have any hope that this thing can be turned around in the final week and a bit?
Oh, absolutely, Kieran. I'm not a Panthers fan. I was very much on the Broncos side of the grand final, but the comeback that the Panthers staged on Sunday is very much an inspiration to us. And certainly what we're hearing on the ground in the polling booths here in Kalamunda in the outer suburbs of Perth. I was in Melbourne earlier in the week, and there is a tremendous amount of support. And as we've said all the way along out on the ground, when you take it out of the media, there is a bunch of people out there that are coming to this with a lot of generosity. So we're certainly getting very good feedback on the early polls across the country, and that is just strengthening our resolve to go as hard as we can in the last 10 days of the campaign to convince as many people that the right vote is a yes vote.
A little bit of an uptick in the YouGov poll today. Do you feel that that might be the turnaround, or at least the start of the turnaround for the yes vote in the final days?
Well, I've been very clear, Kieran, as I've spoken to you on many times, that we're not being guided by what the published polls say, even when they do tick upwards in our favour. The real poll that we're concerned about are the ones that I'm standing here in this electorate of Hasluck, where people are actually walking into the polling booth. I mean, it's actually a tremendous thing to be part of, knowing that this is a campaign decades in the making, and we're seeing Australians, as we've wanted them to cast their judgment on this. As I said, what we're seeing and the feedback that we're getting from multiple polling booths around the country is a lot of positivity from the volunteers, and that just gives us more encouragement to campaign very hard.
You copped a bit of flack, the Yes campaign, for the colour of your placards. Can you give us any insight into all of that and how it happened, given they were basically the identical colour as the official AEC ones?
Oh, Kieran, as you can tell, I'm actually wearing the shirt today in those colours. These are colours that we've been using for a very long time in the campaign. And the AEC had a very respectful conversation with us in saying that we just needed to be careful about the placement of those. And we've absolutely, as we've said, respected the advice and the decisions from the AEC. It's not a problem for us. We've taken that advice on board and have made the amendments where we've needed to across the board, and certainly encouraging all of our supporters and volunteers that are at the polling booths to make sure that we're doing the right thing. But that's just a normal part of a campaign. You get the advice, you have those interactions with the AEC, and as I say, we're just guided by that and doing what we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing and being able to have the conversations with people as they walk into those polling booths.
Your operations manager, he was also, his name's Simon Frost, he was embroiled in a controversy around mimicking AEC signs during the Frydenberg and Chisholm campaigns. Was this part of a strategy? Was it intentional?
No, Kieran, as I say, these colours that we've been using in the campaign have been part of the Yes23 campaign for a very long time. As I said, it was just something that the AEC observed, and as I said, we've had that conversation with them. We've taken on the advice and made the remedial actions where necessary. It's as I say, it's just one of those things. We're making sure that we're following that guidance. And making sure that we're doing the right thing. It's a bit of a story. I know it gets some attention, but ultimately we're just doing what we need to do to make sure we're doing the right thing.
And on that poll, there's a real polarisation in terms of a split between the young and the older voters. Those under 50, if it was just the voters under 50, you'd win in a heartbeat. Those over 50, it's sort of the flip side of that story. Have you got any reflections on that, why that might be the case?
Oh, look, I think that, people vote for different reasons in different age groups. I think, though, and a lot of the conversations that we've had with younger people throughout this campaign is that they're very concerned about making sure that there is real progress happening in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. It's the young people that will live the longest with this decision. So I think there's a fair bit at stake for young people, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, across the country in the outcome. And I think they understand that this is a very, very clear choice, an important choice. on one hand, with the no argument, with the no camp, it takes us absolutely nowhere. It leaves Indigenous peoples exactly where we are. There are no solutions offered, none whatsoever in the no camp. They'll point out the problems, but they're not offering any solutions to those challenges facing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, effectively shrugging the shoulders and saying, well, the status quo is good enough. Whereas the Yes case is offering a very substantial solution. It's offering a committee made up of Indigenous peoples advising on those challenges that face our communities. It is the single biggest chance that we have of making real progress on issues like closing the gap for Indigenous peoples. And I think the young people in this country are very invested in taking the long-term view, knowing that they will live the longest with this decision. And I think that may be why we're seeing a bit of support from the young people there, because they know that things have to change, that we can't just keep doing the same thing. That's what the no camp's offering. Yes is offering the only viable practical solution, and that's why we're encouraging people to vote yes.
Dean Parkin, appreciate your time today and right throughout the campaign, and hopefully we'll catch you next week in the final days ahead of October 14.
Good to have you back, Kieran.